Hi, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Brendan. This time we're going to talk about I bonds, Series I bonds that are issued through the US government, and specifically TreasuryDirect.gov. This is a continuation of a theme that I've been kind of harping upon for the last few months, which is playing offense when other people are playing defense. So specifically around the concept of inflation. And as I've talked about in the past, inflation is a double-edged sword. If you are the seller of goods, seller of services, and you're increasing the price of your services or goods, then that's a good thing, and inflation is good for you. But if you are the buyer of something, goods, services, then it's not so good. So take the example of a house. If you're selling a house, this inflation is great for you because you're getting top dollar for your house. But of course, if you're the buyer of that house, it's not such a good thing because you're paying much more than you would have just 2 and 3 years ago. So similar thing with the Series I bonds. And there's a very good reason that I'm talking about it today on April 20th, because on May 2nd, 2022, the interest rate is going to change on these Series I bonds, and potentially, and probably, I should say, it's going to go up to over 9%. So when you're looking at savings bonds, US savings bonds, they are some of the most conservative investments out there. And if you're getting a 9% interest rate, that's historically speaking, up there with regular stock market like investments. And if you're getting 9% with something that's very, very conservative, that's a fantastic risk return ratio. And that's what we're always harping on with clients, is looking for investments that have on relatively low risk for a high rate of return. So let's jump into this. We'll go right to the TreasuryDirect.gov website. And one thing that will jump out to you right out of the gates is, if you've been someone that goes on the internet a lot, you look at a website like this and you think that it might be a spam website. But no, this truly is the US Treasury Department's website. And it's not the simplest thing to navigate, but we'll work through it. So if you look on the left here, one of the things that it shows is how to buy Series I bonds. So let's get into this and talk about some of the big benefits and drawbacks to the Series I bonds. So let's just go right down the list here. What is an I bond? It's a security that earns interest over a 30-year period. Every 6 months, the interest rate can change, and it changes with the rate of inflation. Right now, because inflation is so high, the interest rate on this is 7.12. This will recalibrate and come up with a new interest rate May 2nd, 2022. And many people are saying that that interest rate may jump up to over 9%. And again, as I mentioned, if that happens, which it in all likelihood should, this could be a really good investment for you to consider. So who can own them? Individuals can own them. Children under 18 can own them. And trusts, estates, corporations can in electronic form, but they can't, not all of them can own them in paper form. So long story short, most people are going to be using the electronic, using this TreasuryDirect.gov website. And if that's the case, the electronic bonds pretty much come in any denomination. So you could buy, in this case, a $50.23 bond if you chose to do so. This is one of the key drawbacks right here, is that the maximum amount of Series I bonds you can buy in any one calendar year is $10,000. Now, if you are married, then you and your spouse can each have $10,000. If you have kids, they can each have $10,000. And if you are a small business owner, you could actually own a Series I bond in the name of the company. So let's take an extreme example here. If we have a small business owner who's married and has 2 kids, that small business owner technically, as a family unit, could have $50,000 of Series I bonds, 10,000 for the corporation, 10,000 for business owner, 10,000 for business owner's spouse, 10,000 for business owner kid number 1, 10,000 for kid number 2. So you could technically do that, but you would have to have 5 different, excuse me, 5 different accounts. Another way to buy into the bonds to give yourself a little bit more is using your tax refund. You can buy up to an additional $5,000 per year, so you could technically get $15,000 per person if you had the foresight to allocate some of your tax refund to TreasuryDirect.gov. And yes, you can buy them as gifts. They don't count against you. They would count against the person, the gift recipient. Couple other details that you need to know about these Series I bonds is that you have to hold them for 1 year. So these are the rules associated with them. You have to hold it for 1 year. So it's definitely not money that you are going to need to access, or liquid money that you'll need to access within 1 year. There's no way that you can get that money back out within that year. The other piece of this is that there is a 3-month interest penalty if you redeem them between year 1 and year 5. After year 5 and all the way up through year 30, that penalty goes away. But if you do redeem them between that first year and year 5, there is a 3-month interest penalty associated with this. So let's go through a timeline of a savings bond. So a lot of people are eyeing that May 2nd, 2022 date because they think that the interest rate will jump up. So let's say that we buy $10,000 of a Series I bond on May 2nd. So for the first 6 months, you'll enjoy that 9% interest rate, but then come November, they will change that interest rate to whatever in concert with whatever the inflation rate is at the time. If inflation keeps going up, then that 9% may even go up even higher. If, on the other hand, like most people think, inflation will come down by that point, the interest rate could change. So let's just use an easy example here. For the first 6 months, you earn that 9%. The second 6 months, you earn a 7% rate of return. So on the average over that 12-month period, you'd have about an 8% interest rate. But remember, you'll have to give up 3 months worth of that 7% interest rate if you redeem it May 2nd of 2023. So long story short, in total, you'll probably earn, if you hold it for just that 1 year, you'll probably earn an interest rate of about 5 to 6% on an investment that's super duper conservative. So it definitely is something that you should think about, especially if you're investing money at the bank. And I just took a look at the interest rates that Bank of America is offering for a 1-year CD, because I kind of liken this to a 1-year CD in terms of how aggressive or not aggressive it actually is. And this is what we're looking at. So this is Bank of America's website, and there are 2 CD options. Here you go with the $10,000 minimum and a $1,000 minimum. You're looking at an APR of just literally a pittance, and this could actually increase your interest rate by a significant amount by using the TreasuryDirect.gov website. So hopefully this will be helpful to you. If you do want to do this, unfortunately, Waymark is not a place that we can help you out with this. This would be something that you would have to go to TreasuryDirect.gov and buy it on your own. But it is a fairly straightforward process to go through. I do wish it was a little bit more user-friendly because, again, the web interface is probably about 10 to 20 years outdated. But that's my own personal gripe. Again, hopefully this was helpful to you. Hopefully you can get a little bit more of a rate of return on some of the money that you've earmarked for your not short-term liquid money, but something that is 1 year plus out that you're not going to use. And you can make a little bit of money while inflation is as high as it is right now. Thanks so much, and we'll look forward to the next time we get together.